The Bears franchise tagged Allen Robinson this offseason, and his time with the team may be coming to an end. But there is a future star wide receiver emerging in Chicago, Darnell Mooney. The rookie came out of nowhere last season after being drafted in the 5th round. Overlooked at nearly every level, Mooney has continued to excel all the way to a starting job in the NFL. The Tulane product recorded 631 yards and 4 touchdowns on 61 receptions in 2020. He was Mr. Reliable, catching at least 2 receptions in every contest and steadily growing his role on the team each week. After a 4-catch, 1-touchdown performance in Week 15 against the Vikings, he reached 46 receptions, setting the Bears' franchise record for catches by a rookie. 2 weeks later, Mooney had the best game of his career versus the rival Packers nonetheless, catching 11 passes for 93 yards. Mooney had one of the hardest roads to a successful rookie season, being a late pick that had to slowly move up the depth chart and missing most of the normal onboarding activities due to COVID-19. In fact, he used his first paycheck to buy a jugs machine for his house because he couldn't practice. That's dedication. He has an opportunity to break out big time in 2021, a lot probably in part to having a new quarterback. Mooney was top 5 in unrealized air yards in 2020, basically deep target yards that didn't result in actual receiving yards, usually because his quarterback wasn't good enough to hit him. Mooney is on track to get the same, if not more, volume this season, and if his new quarterback can hit him this time around, his stats should see a nice increase. ESPN currently has Mooney projected to catch 63 passes for 777 yards. The biggest thing, not only for Mooney, but Chicago this season, is going to be Justin Fields. Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles struggled with deep accuracy, as I mentioned, but if Fields comes in and can make those passes, the Bears' offense suddenly looks much better. Fields had a ton of success at Ohio State throwing downfield. From a fantasy football standpoint, Pro Football Focus noted that once Fields hits the field in the preseason, Mooney's average draft position will be sent to the moon. Mooney had nearly as many deep targets as Allen Robinson in 2020. Meanwhile, Fields has thrown the second most 20-plus yard touchdowns and has the 3rd best air yards percentage in college football since 2019. If Robinson had left Chicago this offseason, Mooney would potentially be stepping into the number 1 wide receiver role. With another decision to be made in 2022 regarding Robinson, Mooney's production this year will likely dictate if the Bears outright move on from the veteran. Chicago selected Mooney with the 173rd pick at the 2020 NFL Draft, a true steal already. The Bears sent 3 picks, 2 6th-round selections and a 7th-round selection to the Eagles to get the choice of Mooney. Scouts were certainly worried about Mooney's potential in the pros, a lot to do with his small stature at 5'10", 176 pounds. In fact, the Athletic's Dan Brugler compared his body type to a kicker, but added that he is tougher than he looks. However, his speed really helped his case. Along with a 4.38 40-yard dash, Mooney has impressive vertical speed, allowing him to rack up yards after the catch, using his agility to his advantage. The appeal of Mooney at the draft was obviously his athletic ability, but he also showcased a lot of raw tools that could develop. There were a lot of questions in his game, like a lack of separation and less than optimal footwork. Drops were a huge issue in his game, something you definitely can't have from your slot receiver, the position that Mooney is probably stuck at because of his size. A big knock on Mooney was his lack of playing time at Tulane, a lot in part to a heavy run system that limits his touches. But when he did get the ball, he was impressive. He led the Green Wave as a junior and a senior when he had 713 yards and 5 touchdowns on 48 receptions. He broke out in 2018, being named second-team All-AAC after recording 20.6 yards per reception, 6th best in the country, and going for over 100 yards 4 times. Mooney finished the season with 993 yards and 8 touchdowns on 47 receptions. The year prior, he started in every game for the first time, catching 34 passes for 599 yards and 4 touchdowns. Even as a freshman, Mooney started in most games for the Green Wave, finishing second on the team with 24 receptions, 267 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Much like in the NFL, he wasn't sought after coming out of high school. Mooney was a rated 2-star, the number 351st wide receiver in the country, and the number 91 player in Alabama. 24/7 actually lists Tulane as the only school that even had interest in him. He attended Gadsden City High School, where he played wide receiver and defensive back. As a senior, Mooney was named a Class 7A first-team All-State selection after he caught 37 passes for 697 yards and 9 touchdowns. He also had 3 punt return touchdowns, a kickoff return touchdown, an interception, and he played point guard on the basketball team. Darnell Mooney's rise to the NFL is a feel-good story that low-ranked recruits everywhere should consider. At every level, he has continued to work hard, and now he's found himself playing football on the grandest stage. Mooney has been overlooked everywhere, largely because of his small size, but he has proven time and time again that he belongs. Nobody expects a 176-pound wide receiver to be able to separate and make plays against NFL corners, but Mooney did just that in 2020, utilizing his blazing speed along the way. 2021 could end up being a huge season for Mooney. Perfect news for Chicago, with a new quarterback in the picture and a star wide receiver on the franchise tag. For me, I feel like Darnell Mooney kind of almost gives me like Antonio Brown vibes. Like he was just this really, really small dude that was a late pick in the draft that no one thought could be a good player in the NFL because he was so small. And now here he is. And obviously I'm not comparing Darnell Mooney's game to Antonio Brown. I don't know that we're ever going to see another Antonio Brown. But the fact that Darnell Mooney dropped so much in the draft because of size is crazy. We are getting to a point in the NFL where scouts don't really care about height as much. Honestly, I think Russell Wilson played a big part in that. People realize they need to stop looking at height so much and look at Kyler Murray, who got taken first overall, and Baker Mayfield. This couldn't possibly be any better timing for the Bears in getting a late star wide receiver. They didn't have to spend a lot of draft capital, and now they got a guy that can at least slide into that number 2 role, and it's perfect timing. For one, you have Allen Robinson, whose contract is almost up. You're going to have to figure out a new wide receiver plan here coming up very, very soon. On the other side, you want to make sure that your rookie quarterback, Justin Fields, has talent around him. I think Andy Dalton will be fine when he does step in, and I expect him to start the season. But everything the Bears do, from now with Darnell Mooney, with Allen Robinson in the future, everything comes back to Justin Fields and trying to solidify that starting quarterback position. And Darnell Mooney, he really, really helps that journey. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed, please help us on our way to 100K by subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell notification so you never miss an upload. Once we hit 100K, we're going to be giving away an NFL jersey of your choice. To enter the giveaway, follow our Instagram at JDProdYT and tag us on your story with a screenshot of you subscribe to the channel with notifications on.